Hey everybody, and welcome to Old Roommates. Today on the show, a very special episode, our 100th episode.
Woo-hoo!
We are going to revisit seasons 1 and 2 of Will and Grace. So, get ready to have a gale time and have a seat.
Hey everyone. It is Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. This is Christina.
And this is Brian, and this is our 100th episode.
100! Oh my god!
Thank you.
It's crazy. This is so cool, Brian. I am so excited that this is like here. I mean, did you ever think it would last 100 episodes? I mean, honestly, I do this one episode at a time. Honestly, it's been so much fun. It didn't even occur to me that we were racking up all these episodes.
No. Every once in a while, like I said before we started recording, like someone will text me or something and be like, I didn't even know you had this podcast and that you have 86 episodes. Yeah. Or you have, like throughout the year. And it's like, I mean, it's really, it builds, it happens really kind of quickly, and this
really
it's been super, super fun, which is why we're ending the podcast.
Oh my god, don't even go about it.
No, but it's been super fun, and it's like, and this is what we wanted too, because we wanted an excuse to get together, to hang out, to have fun, and this has been crazy. It has flown by.
It really has flown by.
And also, thank you for listening.
Oh my god, thank you so much for listening. And even through all of this COVID bullshit.
Oh my god, yeah.
And being able to like make it work, and all those horrible episodes that we've had to do like through Zoom, this horrible like audio. I mean, thank you so much. We're still not back in the studio.
We hope to be soon. Yeah.
We are in this room, and Brian has done his best. I mean, this is in his house, and he has done his best to pad the walls, which I've always known I needed a padded room anyway, and try to make it sound as professional as we possibly can. Hopefully What Chair will be opening up soon, and we can go back in the studio, but we really, really appreciate you sticking through all of these episodes, and it's been so enjoyable. Brian, just a quick question.
Yeah.
We're not going to, I mean, we on our 2-year anniversary, we'll probably go through it a little bit more, because as we did on our first year anniversary, but I'm just wondering if any of our episodes really stick out, like favorites, or...
It's the ones that surprise me, because I'm like, you kind of... Like, I think, because we know each other so well, I'm like, I know what Christina's going to say, or I know what, But I think it's when it surprises me that I just laugh a lot. And so I think for me, Mask, because I thought Mask was going to be like this sort of heavy episode.
Right.
And we were cracking up like a lot of it, not at the movie, but at each other. And things that we felt, because I'm like, oh, am I a monster for feeling this way? And then like, oh no, Christina felt exactly the same way.
Yes.
I think, so Mask for me is a big one, and I think, Charlie's Angels was so much fun.
That was a really
and that was just funny. And we were like, I think the ones where we like, just do a lot of quotes is always very fun for me.
Yes.
But I think those two really stick out.
Yeah. One of the ones that really stick out for me was Clue.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's for the same reasons. Like, we're just basically quoting the movie through the whole episode. And we really loved it, and we were really enjoyed it, and just appreciated the actors and all that. And like, I just loved all those episodes that we're really, really passionate about. And the other one that I was thinking about, as far as movies at least, was Misery. I really liked that episode too, because it was one of those revisits, and I think I'm nervous sometimes to revisit movies because I don't know if it's going to have the same impact on me. Although we already knew what was going to happen and knew the ending and all that, it was still so good and so scary,
super
and
effective, and
really good acting, and all that was still just as effective, and that was just a nice surprise for me.
That would be, so here's the funny thing, like that would be one of my favorite revisits,
like,
versus like favorite episodes, but I think like Misery is such a great rewatch. And you can really, because I think even though everything's all out in the open, you know how it ends, you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You really can then focus on the acting, which is just so good.
Yeah.
And just like the pace of it is really well done. I mean, it's Misery, it was a great one.
Such a good one. Such a good one. So anyway, yeah, we'll get into more of that on like our 2nd year anniversary. Maybe we'll do another one of those revisits.
So we chose for our 100th episode Will and Grace because I think around that time, like, it was very much like Brian and Christina.
Yeah,
like it was.
They
really
basically
related.
wrote this show about us. Except,
minus the lawyer.
I thought you were going to say minus all the hugs and kisses.
Yeah, so
we can get into it.
Okay, so let's start, as we always do, talking about then. So this is 1998, and we're only dealing with seasons 1 and 2 because, as you know, we don't break the 2000 threshold. So, Christina, your first impressions of Will and Grace in 98.
I really loved Will and Grace back then. I thought it was a really fun show. I thought it was, what I really remember clearly about it was so witty and it was very topical. They knew the pop culture, and of course, you know, you and I both into pop culture, so I think I appreciated a lot of the, not just like the jokes, but even just like the banter back and forth and like the making fun of each other using pop culture references. So I really loved it. It felt like it was people I would hang out with.
Yeah.
And it felt like a fun, nice friendship. So I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
And it was nice to see just that refreshing, you know, a gay character, several gay characters on TV, which was a first, I think. When was Ellen's?
So Ellen ended the year before.
Oh, it was before.
So Ellen came out on their show, and it was in, I think, a season after she came out, it was canceled. I feel like, so Will and Grace is definitely after. I don't know if it was a year or two after, but because there was some hesitation, obviously, to be like, well, Ellen didn't last. But it was like, well, Ellen came out. This show's already starting with gay characters that have already had that journey. Like, they're just gay living their lives. So in that regard, they thought audiences would have an easier time with Will.
Which they did.
Yeah.
So what about you?
Yeah, I love to listen. I go back to, I've said this many times in this podcast, like, to be a gay guy, like a gay person. This is, you're constantly hungry for, like, representation. And I'm going to be honest, I know I'm a minority on this, sometimes even bad representation. Like, we talked about Sharon Stone and Basic Instinct on a different episode, and, like, you know, it got a lot of backlash. It's like, there's so few bisexual characters, lead characters in film, and you're making her a potential serial killer. But it's like, I'm a little different with that. Like, I understand it. I really do understand the lack of representation, and then when it's shown, the person's, like, an awful character. Right. Yes. So, but I think, like, the fact that Will and Grace was a positive representation of, like, just a gay guy living his life with a gay friend and his, you know, best gal pal and all this kind of stuff, and being successful and relatively happy and all that kind of stuff, like, that was great. And exactly what you're saying, they talk like us, very pop culture, everything's pop culture, very topical. And I remember for me the moment when I was like, oh my god, this is too close to home for me and you, is when, and we didn't revisit that episode, but we probably should have, but when there was a game night, and Will and Grace were such, like, awful winners.
Well, we got a little bit of that.
And we get some of that, the games, And because we played games all the time, and we were very good at playing games, we realized that about each other as a team. And I was like, oh my god, this is so me and Christina, where we're, like, just slaughtering with games.
Well, and just the way that they played the game, it was like where you and Carl went yesterday. Like, it was like, that's the kind of clues that we would give, and that's why we always slaughtered.
Yeah.
Like,
true. So knowing each other really well.
Rob, I know you're listening to this, and I know you're pounding your fists saying, no, you didn't. But we did. We were a fantastic team. And we kicked Rob Cella's ass most of the time. I'm kidding. No, Rob was a formidable player.
A force to be reckoned with.
We should have a game night someday, and when everybody's all vaccinated and feeling comfortable being in front of people.
But to answer your question, I really loved it. Yes. I will tell you that, I mean, I didn't care for it when, in later seasons, where, like, it dealt more with, like, Grace's relationships and Harry Connick Jr. And it's like, just, like, just keep it funny. Just keep it like light and funny, and put them into precocious situations and weird situations. Like don't have us like ride this wave of like bad relationships. I don't like because that's the thing I feel like about sitcoms is hearing about it is hilarious, but we don't have to watch it. Right, it's less. It's like because I think of like the Golden Girls, where it's like, you know, often you hear about Blanche's wild dates or Dorothy's terrible dates or Sophia's dead dates. You know what I mean? But it's funny because it happened past tense. It's a story. That's what makes it funny. When you watch these things and you watch heartbreak, like with Grace's foibles with different relationships throughout the series, it was less funny to me. I don't want to see a character I like just get consistently heartbroken. Like, I'll watch Ally McBeal for that.
Exactly. Well, and the other thing, too, is it takes away the focus of the friendship. So
that's right.
What I really enjoyed about this is that it's a show about friendship, ultimately. It was a realistic show about friendship. This goes back to actually how I have felt about a lot of these storylines in movies where you didn't need to get married to be happy. You didn't need to have that end game of getting married and having children and whatever to be happy in the now. And that's why I agree. I liked the earlier seasons because it did focus more on just their living their lives as friends, and they're not just in constant search of, I mean, they are a little bit of dating and things, but it wasn't like I'm unhappy now and I need to be fulfilled by being in a relationship. And I feel like in the later seasons, they do that more. Like they're just looking for their man.
Yeah.
And I didn't think it was necessary. It was better when they were just friends and also dating.
Yeah, right. You're right. Yes, because it's like it reminds me of like Sex and the City. It's like, you know, the Sex and the City was very much was show and tell, and they did a great balance. I mean, as much as we didn't like our revisit, but in the moment of '98, like it's like you had a mix of both because it was about dating. You're exactly right. Will and Grace is about friendship,
right?
And anytime I tried to be something different, I don't think it did it very well.
Right.
It was much more entertaining to hear it than see it. So that's my take, but I loved Will and Grace. And I even loved the reboot. I watched every episode of that reboot, and I really liked it.
That's so funny. I didn't watch the reboot. And I wanted to, but I just never got a chance to, and I never... Like, it wasn't in my forefront.
But I talked to Matt, your husband, about this, because I think he did try watching it, and he said it was just too political. It was just too topical about what was going on in the current, say, political... So
maybe we watched one episode and I don't remember.
I think Matt didn't care for it, but I thought it was, like, totally on target and appropriate because of...
Maybe I'll revisit that. Do you know what I mean? Like, maybe I'll try...
I thought it was done very well and very funny, and, So let's dive in. So we did 4 episodes of season 1 and 4 episodes of season 2.
Well, technically 5 episodes.
Five,
because it was a part 1, part 2.
Part 2, right.
So should we start with season 1?
Season 1.
Okay.
Episode 1.
The pilot episode.
Oh my God. Laughing my ass off.
From the very beginning. They have great writing, great chemistry.
The jokes are so fast. I just stopped writing at one point because I'm just writing every line.
I can't just write. Yeah, exactly.
Did you get that black flowy thing? She's like, and this is like, I did, but then I put it on. I was like, ooh, it was like 2 Stevie Nicks. The heavy years.
The heavy years.
And that's the first 15 seconds. And you're like, this is something different. This feels very fresh to me. One big eye opener, which I was like, as a middle-aged gay man now, they talk about George Clooney. And she's like, George Clooney doesn't play for your team. And Will says, he hasn't seen me pitch. Now, pitch, being a pitcher in gay speak, is your top.
Yes.
And that didn't click with me in 1998. And I was like, did Will just say he's a top? Because I don't even know if that was ever... I never thought about that. Like, is Will a top or a bottom? I'm forgetting really gay right now. But it's very, very, very funny because I think Jack, upon rewatch, drops many clues that he is very much a top. Like, that he seems to be the, top. But Grace is 30. There's just so much, but there's so many funny lines. My big note here, though, is Jack is hilarious right away.
The second line, for the first one is Will with the long hair. That was funny to me. But then the second line I wrote was Jack is so funny and has amazing timing.
Oh my God. When he does, so he is playing cards. Jack is playing cards with Will and Will's friends. Mm-hmm. And Jack is taking a long time. And they're like, hey, Jack, it's your turn. He's like, give me a minute. Give me a minute, okay? You can give me a minute? And like, it's so dramatic. And you get this character right
immediately.
Away.
You know
and
exactly.
The audience, thank God for a live studio audience.
Yes.
It just makes it funnier.
Yeah.
I think they're just so shocked by him, and they're shocked laughing. And also with that George Clooney joke, like he hasn't seen me pitch, you hear guys in the audience go, whoa! Like someone like yells out, whoa! And it infuses like the comedy so much more with this live. I love a live studio audience.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Ian, we'll talk about this after, but there was a scene. I think it's the last two. Is it the last two episodes? It's one of these episodes where it starts outside.
Okay. And there's no
studio audience. And I thought of you. Yeah. And I will tell you, I missed the studio audience part of it. I'm like, this seems weird.
Yeah.
But I thought of you talking about the live studio audience on like the Love Boat, and you were like, it's weird, like where are they sitting? And like it was just like, oh, I'm wondering. We can get to that episode. You can tell me your opinion on it, but I thought of you with the studio audience, the live studio audience. I love that. Again, the chemistry is amazing from the very second. Mm-hmm. The writing is great, and their acting is fantastic because you don't feel like they're reading a line. You feel like they're just talking, and they're bantering, and they're going back and forth, and they're like, they talk as fast as we do, and they're as smart as we are, which I don't say very often. But like even with like the little digs and the ranks and the it's so funny.
The beginning is really smart too because it feels very when Harry Met Sally. Like they're on the phone, they're watching the same thing on TV. They're in different rooms, they're different houses, apartments, and so if you weren't sure what you're getting yourself into, you quickly realize that this is a gay man. And I just think that was a really smart way of doing that because she's so amused by him and they're making each other laugh. And so it's like, it's okay, everyone. He's a gay man and they're friends. And because the straight woman likes him, it's okay.
Yeah,
like,
it's okay.
It's just done so smart. An amazing line when Will is telling Grace why this boyfriend is bad. He's like, come on, Grace. The man high-fives you after sex. The man high-fives you after sex. That is such a funny line, visual reference. Yep. I mean, it's so good.
And it's so unusual. It's just an unusual line, which was great.
Well, because they never show the guy. They show, like, the back of his head, and you just get what this guy is like just by that little joke.
Right, absolutely. I love that whole thing. I love the whole conversation with Grace complaining to Will about the boyfriend, about the fight with the boyfriend. It just seemed it seems like a conversation you and I would have had.
Absolutely.
I mean, believe me, we've had those. And
yes, we have. Christina, although I have the word hated, so I'd hated something in the first episode.
Oh, what did you hate?
You I think you kind of said it. You said it earlier.
The hair?
So it ends with them in wedding attire.
Yes.
And they end up at a bar, and the crowd misunderstands what's going on, and they're like, "Come on, kiss, kiss, kiss," and they're like, "Kiss," and they're like, "Oh God, okay."
Yeah.
And they kiss on the lips, and it goes on a second, I think, too long.
Yes.
Certainly for any female relationship I have had with a friend, and they're the joke is like, "Nope, still gay." Like, yeah, it's like that's the joke, right? It's like, still
nothing.
Gay.
Yeah, she's like, nothing at all.
But here we go. I have the word hated here. I wrote, I hated the kiss and the end because it's like, I talked earlier about representation. It's like, you're so desperate. And as a middle-aged man, because here's the thing, as a middle-aged gay man, like, I was even more desperate for it because it just wasn't ever on TV. Right. Certainly not mainstream TV. So you finally, a lead gay character, and he has to kiss a woman. Yeah. Even as a joke, even as a misunderstanding, it's like really episode 1, he's kissing a woman. I hated it then. I I hated it now. Because at that point, and I think we saw the movie together, Object of My Affection, with Jennifer Aniston and Paul Rudd. They even have sex. And it's like, really? Then he's not a gay character.
Right.
Or he's a conflicted gay character, but that's not what I signed up for with this movie. And it's the same thing with Will and Grace. It's like, just leave this gay guy alone. Don't have him kissing women.
And I hated that scene as well. I hated the kiss. And for a different reason, similar but different, I didn't like it because it made it seem like Grace wanted to be with him and had feelings for him. And that part of it kind of pissed me off. I'm like, I mean, no offense, Brian, but I've never felt any sort of sexual attraction to you at all.
It's really sweet.
I'm sorry. It just never, we've always just been friends. And I've never been like, oh, I wish I could date Brian. Never, not once. And I don't mean that as an...
I get it, Christina.
You are hideous. No, I'm just kidding. The thought of it hurts my stomach. No.
I'm just saying I was repulsed by the idea.
But I'm just saying, like, it pissed me off because it was like, it just makes you feel like the only reason why she's friends with him is because she's attracted to him.
Oh, I know. And
it's like, no, it's not right.
It adds a layer of desperation to Grace.
Yes.
Which, it changes the dynamic. If that's in the back, because if you imagine it's in the back of her head, because in later seasons, and they touch upon this in the reboot too, that they did Grace did like him, for, and that they did. I guess they were they tried the boyfriend girlfriend thing
before he came out.
Yeah, and but it was. But it's like, come on.
Well, and I felt like they were really pandering to the audience too, like you say, but almost like, oh, let's give them a hope.
Will they or won't they? It's like
maybe he will be with her anyway. Like, it just seemed really cheap for what it was supposed to be.
And I'll tell you that I remember that vividly in the first couple of seasons, particularly season 1, where there was even an episode where I think Will kept dreaming about having sex with Grace, and he didn't know what that was about. It's like, that's not a thing. And even if it is a thing, don't put it into season 1 or season 2.
I mean, it's like, who are you trying to...
Give us a gay.
Right. You're trying to... What are you trying to do? Like, what audience are you trying to get by doing this? Like, the people who are on the fence about whether they like gays or not?
I know.
It didn't make any sense to me. It's like, look, you have your audience... Be authentic with that audience.
And that's why I think Jack is so important to the show, because he is just full. There are no misunderstood kisses and all that business.
He is who he is. And I'm so glad, because when I was thinking about revisiting, and again, I didn't see the reboot, but I was really nervous, especially about the pilot and the first couple of episodes, because the first season can always be a little different from the rest of the series. Sure. And I was worried about the Jack character, and I thought, I hope he doesn't come across as like
a flamer, basically.
Yeah, but it's like a stereotype. Yeah. Like, I just was really protective of that character, because I remember really loving him, and it's different now. People are out more, and it's a different atmosphere now than it was back then. And I was really, really nervous that was going to happen, and I was so happy that it didn't. Like, I did feel like he was good. My one big criticism I did have with it in general was they were very, very heavy on the gay jokes. Like, just, it was very, very heavy on that, and I didn't think it was really necessary all the time. Like, we know what we're watching, we know that he's gay, we know that, he dates men, like, just a lot of that.
When there's too many gay jokes, it's almost as if they all just came out, but it's a new thing. It would be...
he's more of a person he's more of a person than just a gay man. Yeah. So I get that that's the premise, but it's like, let's just... Fine, do a couple of jokes an episode if you want, but... just let it lie a little bit too. Give him a chance to be a person.
I don't disagree. Good. The one funny joke is Jack is sitting there at the card table, I believe, with his sweater tied around his shoulders, and he's really upset because people are like saying like, "Oh no, I knew right away you were gay," and he's like, so presumptuous. And then Grace walks in, and he's like, "Grace, did you know I was gay?" And she's like, "My dog knew."
Yeah.
Just so much fun dialogue.
Yeah, so much fun. So much fun. I did feel like Will didn't really look very lawyerish in the first episode, but I think it improves throughout the series.
Yeah.
Even in the second
that the long
episode,
hair bothered you.
It bothered me. I'm like, what is this?
He looks better with short hair, for sure.
Definitely.
That's all the notes I have for episode 1.
Yeah. Oh, the only other reference I have that was funny was the pop-up video that he was watching.
Yeah,
pop-up video.
Yeah.
I loved pop-up video. And actually, I was pleased to think. Oh, and Karen was great from the start too, by the way.
But talks like a normal person. Her voice isn't quite the voice that we've all.
And did you catch what they said in the pilot episode? Will said post-coital.
Yes,
and I thought of you immediately.
It's my favorite words.
I know.
I do love. I thought that was a later episode when Karen's like. She's like, Karen, I pee. She's like, I know you do, honey, and I keep them all in this box. Like, and I always thought that was a later episode, but that is so funny that because they set it up. It's like, listen, she is a wealthy woman with a lot of connections. That's why I'm keeping her, and because she just doesn't really need to work. She's just like, I want to get out of the house because away from my husband.
And that was great because I forgot why the original premise of why she was working there, and I'm glad that they addressed it right away. That it was just like, well, I'm just here. There was something else I wanted to say about this. And one of the other things that I was a little bit worried about revisiting was because of all the pop culture references, I was hoping it would still work.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying about that.
Yeah.
Let's move on to episode 4. Since
between a rock,
45 minutes later.
I know. Between a rock and a Harlan place. Mm-hmm. This is Harlan is one of Will's big clients, and Harlan needs his place done over, and he wants to meet with Grace to discuss that.
Yes.
This brings to the first time just Jack.
And it's a one night only. Did you get that? It's a one night only, just Jack.
Because it's an open mic night.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the audience loves him. The audience, that's my note throughout, audience loves Jack. He just walks in the room and they start cracking up. Yeah.
I love him.
He's so funny.
He's so good. And he really sucks up the whole scene whenever he enters. He's so good, Sean Hayes. He's just good. I said Will looks better.
Yes. Okay. Oh, shit. What is it? Oh, the duplex. That's where the show is. The duplex is a real place, but it doesn't look anything like it does in the show.
Yes.
The duplex is a real place in New York, I should say. Open mic night. Someone says, Jack says, bring Grace or a date. And he starts laughing because dates for Will are few and far between.
Yes.
Shoot. Whatever.
I have notes in here and I have no idea what they mean. It's like dialogue between them and it's like so fast. I have no idea what they were talking about. I said, Jack says, whole new direction. Will says, forward. And then Jack says, this guy. Does that mean anything to you? It was funny enough for me to write it down, but I forget what it is. But that gives you an idea of like how fast everything's talking.
Well, because I think it was probably Jack going, this guy, like meaning isn't Will so funny? That's something Sean Hayes does really well, is like the fake laugh. He's like, that's so funny. He does it to Al Roker in a later episode. So I laughed when Harlan said, Will makes a joke, and it's a sort of gay reference or pop culture-y joke, and Will leaves the room. And Grace is like, oh, Harlan, Will was, she was trying to explain, and Harlan interrupts her and says, oh, listen, whatever references I don't get, I just assume it's a gay thing. I assume it's a gay thing.
It's really funny. I thought it was funny. He was in the first he was in the pilot, the same client.
Yes, yeah.
And then he was in episode 4, which was kind of funny. I don't know if he's in 2 or 3, but that was funny. I said that Will was so annoying. I wasn't a big fan of the storyline. Will was so disrespectful of Grace, and it pissed me off.
So, this brings up a sensitive topic.
Oh boy.
Upon rewatch, I think Will's kind of a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. It's like, I feel like Will is so Will seems miserable, and he's taking it out on his friends. Yep. He's not a good friend.
Nope. This pissed me off.
This is a big note. And it's like throughout the shows.
I noticed it too.
Throughout the episodes.
I noticed it too. And I'm wondering if it's just the episodes we chose. I'm hoping. But you think it's just throughout. Because
Christina,
he really...
Okay, I'm going to go back to the Golden Girls.
Okay.
B. Arthur, Dorothy Zbornak. Mm-hmm. Not a super happy camper.
Nope.
A really likable character.
Yes.
Will, not a happy camper, but there's a lack of joy. Like, it's like if something feels wrong when he like sort of dings people. I maybe because Dorothy Zbornak seems content and Will doesn't. So this almost feels like Will is acting out on a deeper level.
Yes, 100%.
And it isn't as funny on the rewatch.
No, it isn't. And I'm glad you say that because this episode really pissed me off because not only is he disrespectful of Grace, so he basically ranks on her profession. Like he has no respect for her professionalism. She's redecorating for a client, and he's like, too much this, too much that. And he says this stuff in front of the client, with no regard to her. Like, this is her career.
It's her expertise. It is her expertise.
This is what she does.
She knows what she's doing.
Best.
Yeah.
Super, super disrespectful. And she doesn't have the same level of confidence that she should. So she listens to him. And she, doubts herself or whatever. But he's also really disrespectful of Jack. And I know Jack is like the comic relief, but I'm noticing... Because he was supposed to stay over. Is this when?
Oh my God, that annoyed me. That bothered me so bad. He brings his bird over, his dog, like the whole thing, and was like, "Yeah, sorry, I told Grace she could stay, so you can't stay." How about the couch? How about rearranging it? Maybe ask Grace to stay on the couch because he already promised the room to Jack. Yeah. Like, fine, Jack's annoying, but he's one of your best friends.
He's your friend, and you said you could stay.
Yeah, you can't set up a scenario and then be like, yeah, sorry.
So, and everybody thought it was hilarious, but I did feel for Jack. I'm like, wow, why is he being an asshole?
I LOL'd when Grace kept saying, I'm so not fired. I am so not fired. She's dialing the phone, and she just keeps dialing like a million numbers, and she's like, "Oh my God, I'm fired."
She's so funny.
Debra Messing is excellent.
She is really excellent. Yeah. I thought the resolution was fine, but he never apologized. Like he apologizes, but. Did he apologize? Wait, what is it? It's like a question or a statement. I can't tell. But did he apologize for doing it in front of a client? No, he didn't. Like I felt like his apology was like half-assed.
Too many times, I agree, and I completely agree. Too many times too, I felt like this show takes Will's side or doesn't give Grace enough of, like you said, the confidence or enough. But I feel like the show kind of doesn't take Grace's side that many times.
No, it centers around Will.
Yeah.
And Will centers around Will.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have anything else for that episode?
I just thought I love that Jack sang I've Never Been to Me by
Oh my God! I was dying! That's such a funny song. That is like such a typical, like a Jack song to sing too. Because it's really about being a whore.
Yes.
I mean, that's the song is, I've been to paradise, but I've never been to me. Yeah. And the whole song is about people she's banged.
Been undressed by kings.
Yeah. And it's such a great song for Jack to have sung. That was great.
I used to love that song.
Me too.
Yeah. I was eight years old.
Me too. Well, I wasn't 8, but I was older, and I'm singing it.
And I'm like 1980, and I remember, here's a visual. At my grandmother's house, okay, and because I think she was watching us, and it was Saturday, Solid Gold was on, and I knew Charlene was going to be on, because it was the #1 song in America, I've Never Been to Me. You have to listen to this song if you're not familiar.
Oh my gosh.
And there I am with my cassette tape recorder, and I'm getting ready to press play and record to Solid Gold.
Oh, God.
Okay? And
those are the days.
And of course, and I never forget it. I'm like pressing it, and my sister is like, "So Graham, blah blah blah." I'm like, what are you? You're ruining my recording.
This is the only chance I'm ever going to record this song.
Well, without like radio, right, without the DJ leading right up to the beginning of the words.
Yeah, I know. I know. Believe me, I know. I used to have so many mixtapes, and like 80% of it was the DJ talking. Yes. It's like, oh my gosh.
Wow. It was tough being an 80s kid.
It was tough. You didn't even know the lyrics to songs. I was trying to explain that to Emily. Like, you'd have to like listen to it, stop, rewind. Listen to it, stop, rewind, and write down like 2 words. Stop, rewind, stop, rewind. And then if you had the money to buy a cassette with the lyrics, like you were like Midas. Who has $7?
The next episode, The Unsinkable Mommy Adler. My first note, not caring for this one. So I wrote, everyone's mean to Grace.
Everyone is mean to Grace.
Why is this? This is my middle age revelation with this Will and Grace rewatch. Grace really gets the short end of the stick over and over, and I never noticed that. And I will say, we were binging. At least I was binging this.
Yes.
I was like,
me too.
Yeah, okay. So we talked about this a little bit with Married with Children.
Yes.
And how when you're binging this type of behavior, you really begin to see the imbalances of treatment. And I think over and over again, Grace gets a shitty deal.
Yes.
And this one in particular,
Debbie Reynolds.
Yeah, Debbie Reynolds is the mom.
Is the guest star. Busts into the apartment.
Were you surprised the studio audience didn't cheer? Do you have a note?
I expected applause for Debbie Reynolds.
They didn't clap.
No clapping.
Later on, they clapped for Molly Shannon. They clapped for Jack. Jack could burp, and they would stand up and cheer.
Yes.
I was really surprised.
Very, very surprised. And it was quite an entrance, too. Like, it was
designed.
It was definitely designed for an applause. And there was nothing.
That was weird. My only thought is that was like the 14th take, and the audience just couldn't take it anymore.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe.
Would they be instructed not to? I guess not. I guess they wouldn't be instructed
maybe
not
the
to.
first time they did it, they went on for too long, and they were like, okay, don't do that. But something was missing. It was very strange.
It was very strange.
I didn't care for this one. I just wrote, Grace is a line, I can't get a gay guy to even hypothetically marry me. Because that was the thing where it is...
I know.
Oh, Will, I always thought you and you and Will should get married. And he's like, please, even if I was straight, I wouldn't marry Grace. Unnecessary.
Why would you say that?
That's so mean.
I mean, I was a little bit mean at the beginning of this episode, saying I was never attracted to you. But I would never say that, like...
Also, in front of her mother?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I would never, even if I were straight, I wouldn't marry Grace.
I would never marry Grace. That's
Brian,
awful. Yep.
If you were straight, I would marry you if I had to. I just want to put that on record.
Christina, if I were straight and, had no other prospects, I would absolutely marry you.
If we were alone on a deserted island, I would absolutely marry you.
We lived, obviously old roommates. We lived together, and we had a blast. Yeah, we really and everyone was like, don't move in with your friend, don't move in with your best friend.
I know, we were nervous about that.
We were nervous, but... we had a blast. We were like the fun house.
Well, and we were respectful of each other.
1,000. 2 bathrooms definitely helped.
Oh, God. Sure. We wouldn't have been able to do it without 2 bathrooms.
We had 2 bathrooms. But we had really fun parties. We got along. I mean, we had a great
We liked each other's friends. And, we respected our privacy and things
I couldn't wait to get home. I couldn't wait to get home.
I felt the same way.
A recorded episode of Days of Our Lives. We would just talk and laugh and have a drink.
I remember pulling in and just being excited if your car was in the driveway.
Oh,
right? Like, being like, oh, good. Brian's home.
We were great.
Yeah, we were. Much better than Will and Grace.
We always supported each other. Always. Debbie Reynolds is great. I think her character just isn't as great as Debbie Reynolds. You know what I mean? Like, I almost wanted... Again, the likability thing.
Yeah. It's like she wasn't likable, and it could have been from the beginning, like that entrance was a little bit much.
Yeah.
And I know what they were trying to do and all that, but still, I feel like it didn't have to be that big of an entrance. Mm-hmm. What is this? Will, you may now kiss the beard? What was that about? I like the brutal honesty about how she is in relationships. Oh, okay. I did like that part of it when they were sitting down and they were talking about how Grace is in how she is when she's in a relationship. Mm-hmm. And I did like that, because I could see that being a conversation with you and Ivy, and having, you say something like, well, Christina, you do tend to take charge in a relationship, or, but in a tactful way. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, friends do that for each other, but in a tactful way. Like that she needs to be the star in a relationship is what they were talking about.
Yes. I'm going to quickly jump, because one thing that I think they do well for Grace is... I love how open Grace is with her peeves of relationships and guys. It's like episode 14. We'll stick with this one, but she says like she has that really affectionate boyfriend, and she's like, "Yes, don't say Menzies." And he kisses her on the forehead. She doesn't like kisses on the forehead. And then it's like he wants to talk about her PMS and no, yeah, that. And then he says later on, he says, "P.S. I'll see you later. And P.S. I love you." And she's like, "P.S. I thought we talked about P.S." Like meaning she knows how how sort of
how specific she is.
And then she's also open with the guy she's dating. Yes. And she's like, "We talked about that." So I appreciated that even Grace was in on how specific she was to what she was looking for.
She knows how she is. Yeah, she knows how she has that self-awareness. She's a good character. Yeah. I loved how she was so mad in the restaurant, and she gets up and she goes, because they were talking about how she has to be the star in the relationship.
Yeah. Oh, and the glasses.
And she gets up and she puts on her sunglasses and throws her scarf around her. She says, "I am no star." She struts out.
The audience went crazy for that too. The audience was really into this.
They were on Grace's side for sure. The audience.
Yeah. Well, that and just the way she did that was so damn funny.
It was perfect and not super unrealistic either. Like, you know what I mean? It was like not works. Too campy. Yeah. Just campy enough. Jack bugs Karen by touching her. What was that? Like sibling kind of things. See, this is the problem. I have all these like half notes.
I think episode 13 I had very, very few notes. That was all my notes, actually. I wondered if you had the same feeling at the very end when Debbie...
Scarf?
The first stole gets stuck in the door.
Scarf caught in the door at the end. Improvise?
Completely.
I 100% thought, oh my God, that's so funny we have that same... I'm like, that's awesome.
Because Debra Messing sort of loses it a little.
Yeah.
And she's like her whole face is like, oh, that wasn't supposed to happen, and then they just kept going with it.
I'm glad they left it in. It was really good. That's so funny that we both noticed that. So I don't have anything else except for that. It upsets me that Grace is so insecure as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Well, not only is she insecure, but again, the show mocks it.
Yes, it's very one-sided. It's not like a balanced friendship.
That's right. I agree.
At least in season 1 right now.
So now episode 18, Grace Replaced. Great title. I did notice that there were 2 Zsa Zsa Gabor impersonations in 2 episodes.
Oh my gosh, isn't that funny?
Debbie Reynolds does one in episode 13, and I think Will may have done a Zsa Zsa.
Now, let me ask you this. Was this around the same time as the infamous slap?
Yeah. Because that's
so this is what I'm talking about with the references. If I had someone watch it now for the first time, I don't know if it'd be as enjoyable because they would have things like that reference that would go way over their heads and they'd have no idea what they were talking about. Yeah. So I think that's one of those things that may not be quite as
because here's the thing though. I hate to say it, but the Golden Girls again. I think
that the listeners should have a drinking game when listening to this to any of our episodes. If Brian mentions the Golden Girls or any of the actors or characters in the Golden Girls, you drink.
But remember, there's a lot of that topical humor too. They talk about Phil Rizzuto, they talk about Cher, they talk about Tammy Faye Baker, they talk about a lot of specific news stories. Mm-hmm. I think if the joke is funny enough, you just go along with the joke and keep going. Yes. So I think it's okay. I agree. I think someone could Google if they cared that much. And so
But it's so fast, I don't know if they'd even catch it.
No, Molly Shannon is introduced. But my first note here is Karen is talking about stress.
I have it all written down.
She's like, why would I be stressed? I've got practically no responsibilities. My job's at Breeze, and I got a killer rack. Good morning.
I have that same exact stuff written down. So funny.
And she starts laughing at her own joke, and I think that's kind of real.
Yes,
I think she kind of like actually just starts laughing at the things she just said.
Yes, and I love that. I mean, she's unapologetic. That Karen.
Because we've talked about this too in this past. I like when characters make each other laugh, and Grace laughed at that.
And that's all. This whole series is like that. Yeah. That's what makes it so real. Mm-hmm. There's so many jokes. There's so many, criticisms as a joke, and everybody around them laugh. Mm-hmm. And it makes it feel like you're actually in this apartment having these conversations. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Molly Shannon's introduction was a little bit over the top, but I did like her, and I liked how that reeled in where she's just like, you get that she knows that she's fucked up. She's completely a crazy person, and she knows it, and she makes fun of it, and she makes it seem like one thing and then becomes the other, which is great. Just kind of calls him out on it. Mm-hmm. The one thing I didn't love is when he said something, or he said something like, "You're crazy," and she goes, "You're a gay fella," or something like that. I don't think that was. I didn't think it was funny. I thought it was kind of stupid. I agree.
I didn't think that was funny. It was like, would someone say that? Would someone do that? But she is crazy, and I do like how she was she's lying to him really quickly about something. She's like, no, I'm just kidding.
You're just kidding. That's it.
So you understand that Val is not completely there.
100%, and kind of gets Will right away, in that she can make fun of him and make fun of herself. And
I did like when Karen referred to Will as, to Grace as, your sexless lover. Awesome.
Oh, sexless husband is how I wrote that down.
I wrote sexless lover.
We'll just agree to disagree then.
The reason why you're not in a relationship is on line one. I wrote I love the fight and sorry, everyone. I love the fight, and I wrote, I love the makeup. Did they smear each other's makeup? I don't remember. Making up. Oh my God, I'm so stupid. Okay, so then Will said, they're fighting, and Will says, once again, girl on girl action, and it's totally lost on me. I do love when they do make up, and it's hilarious. And
that is hilarious.
They walk away, and then Will says, straight guys must be out of their minds.
Yes.
Very funny.
I agree. Again, the kissing between Will and Grace, again, too much. I wish, it just... Because I think I relate so much with Grace, obviously, and it's just it doesn't happen.
I have a lot of
do you
friends.
kiss anybody?
Single female friend. I have never kissed one of my female friends ever, and not even in a smooch thing, as a, oh hey, it's we hug. We're huggers, but you're not kissing.
And I have several gay men that I happen to say I've never kissed any of them on the mouth.
And it's on the mouth. That's the weird part.
On the mouth.
On the cheek. It's on the mouth.
On the cheek would be fine.
Yeah.
Karen, I noticed Karen. Again, Karen had a lot in this episode. She says, it's the oldest story in the world. And then the audience laughs. The audience loves Karen so much. They laugh before she even says the joke. Mm-hmm. I didn't even write down the joke.
Oh my God.
Soon Yi. They joked about the Soon Yi. Again, another reference that might not...
True.
Yeah. And then she goes, Mamma Mia, and I mean that literally.
Yes. That's all my notes for season 1.
That's
do you have anything else? I don't want to rush you.
Have too, but I thought it was a good episode. I liked Molly Shannon in it.
Oh God, yeah, she was just so wild. It was really fun.
So wild. So she was almost Grace exploded. But again, they had the game night with the two of them, and I don't know. Anyway, it was good. But we can move on to season 2.
Do we want to take a little?
I was just going to ask you if you want to have a break in between the 2 seasons. That's a good idea. That. All right, so we'll come back and we'll talk about season 2 of Will and Grace.
Hey there, it's Brian and Christina. We just wanted to take this break to thank you for listening to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pulp culture through a middle-aged lens. Please subscribe to Old Roommates on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And give us a rating or review while you're there.
And if you have any questions, comments, or observations, shoot us an email at oldroommatespod@gmail.com. And follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Old Roommates. Thanks for listening, and now, back to the show. And we're back, our special 100th episode, and we're talking about Will and Grace. Mm-hmm. We're going to start talking about Season 2. Christina.
Yes, and we should say we chose these episodes based on they were the most popular episodes, right?
Yes, we went to Ranker, we went to a couple other different sites and fan sites, and these episodes we're reviewing are some of the most beloved, favorite episodes with memorable moments and all that. So we curated this list very carefully. This episode was called Das Boob, and it involves the Hydra bra.
Hydro bra or something like that.
Which is, it's just a very memorable episode for sure.
Yes.
I really like this episode.
And I remember this episode.
Oh, vividly. Yeah. For me, I don't have very many notes. I just wrote, it starts off so damn funny when they're all grabbing each other's chests.
Yes.
And I love how each one was like, I'm a gay man, so this means nothing. And she's like, you're a gay man, and this means nothing.
Yes. That was funny. That was funny. A little uncomfortable, but...
Oh, so but even they realized that it was weird. But
then at one point, they're like, this is weird. Did they say uncomfortable, or did they say this is getting weird now?
Yeah, this is getting weird.
But Jack was funny. He's like, oh my god, I just went to second with Grace. I got to second with Grace.
I laughed out loud when Grace has the Hydra bra. I think it's that point when she looks down and she's like, I look like a ski resort. I thought it was a very, very funny line.
I did notice that Will, again, is being kind of a jerk because he immediately thinks that this guy is interested in her because of her boobs and not her work. Mm-hmm. Like that, it doesn't even occur to him that it could be because she's talented.
Yeah.
Like, that sucks.
Yep. Good
and
friend.
That gets
Good
her
friend.
that makes her even more insecure and thus having to try to do the boobs situation. Brian's opening a ginger chew for anyone who feels there might be some static on the line.
This episode brought to you by, we can't read the label.
Oh, it's like Pearl.
Pieces of...
Could it be any smaller? Come on, we're middle-aged lenses here. Oh, wait, I have the big package. Hold on, I have the actual...
The moment's lost.
These are... Oh, look, but I ripped off the top.
Oh, no. Well, they're
all right, it wasn't meant to be. Prince of Peace.
Prince of Peace
original ginger chews.
Oh, my God, they're so good.
They're so damn good. We are basically addicted to these things. And they're good for you. They're ginger.
I shouldn't talk with my mouth full. But But I thought this episode was so memorable. I feel like I just watched it a year ago.
Yeah, but, super memorable.
Yeah. Really great writing. And
it was so silly. I mean, obviously the boob is not going to squirt that way, but it was funny nonetheless. And then, and I did see that Grace did feel a little bit more confident in this episode because she did say, Dawn likes me for me, but then it was after everybody. And then Will does say at one point, you don't need those, you're perfect. I'm like, you know what? A little too late, buddy.
Yeah, really?
A little too late.
Yeah. Will doesn't come across good. Guys, if you rewatch this, you just prepare yourself because Will's kind of a jerk.
Oh, and then I did think it was a bit much. I did think that she kind of was a little bit childish because she goes to this all unravels in an art gallery, and she's squirting, and then she finds out that he doesn't want to be with her, but not because of the boobs, but because she's basically crazy. And she turns around and squirts his painting.
So evil, yeah.
I mean, come on. Yeah. That was not right.
But they had to buy them. Because later
did she end up buying them?
They had to.
Okay.
I think Will said...
I missed that part.
Because I think he later... Yeah, he said, he's like, good, because we'll be staring at those photos. And it's some sort of joke about how much, having to buy the paintings.
Yeah. And then there was the side story with Jack and Will dating the same guy. Mm-hmm. And then Jack, Will felt bad. And so he looks him up and has him come to the art gallery. And after this whole dramatic thing, he finds out, oh, that wasn't the same guy I was thinking about. So I like that little side storylines. And I do feel like the secondary storyline is pretty strong, too. Yeah. Usually in most of these episodes.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Probably because of Jack and Karen.
I mean, they're just so funny. I mean, those actors, Megan Mullally and Sean Hayes, for a while they had set the record for the most SAG award wins.
No way.
Screen Actors Guild awards. And they held that title for a while until 30 Rock started winning a lot of them for Tina Fey and Alec Baldwin. But, I mean, they were a highly celebrated, performances and actors and awards.
They work so well together.
Yeah.
Their friendship is really sweet.
I have a trivia question for you, Christina.
Oh, let's hear it.
Interrupt the proceedings. I think you're going to get this.
Okay.
Only 4
sitcoms.
Only 4 sitcoms have won Emmys for all 4 leads. Okay?
Okay.
Only 4 sitcoms have won Emmys for all 4 leads.
Okay, well, I'm going to say, obviously, Will and Grace.
Very
because
good.
You wouldn't have,
Yeah, so the other 3.
I will say 30 Rock.
No?
Well, I know Schitt's Creek, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah, but that was this year.
Yeah. One is from the 80s.
And it's 4 leads. Was it Golden Girls?
Yes!
And would it be like The Facts of Life?
Nope. This show, the hint is it had many spin-offs.
All in the Family.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yep. So all 4 principal leads.
Yeah, I should have known that right away.
All won Emmys. It's only happened 4 times in the history of the Emmys. And
I am a little surprised about 30 Rock with Tracy Jordan.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think
unless they're not considered the leads.
No, but it's the same because like Sophia was supporting.
True.
On Schitt's Creek, Alexis and David are supporting.
That's true. That's true.
Anyway, but that was just some interesting
That's good trivia. I like that.
But yeah, this cast was very well loved.
Yes.
So
episode 7,
Homo for the Holidays.
Homo for the Holidays. I found this a little bit unrealistic, the storyline. Like, I didn't feel like that is something that would really be happening. But basically, Jack's mom comes to visit, and we find out that Jack never came out to her.
Yeah.
But they seem very close. So
yeah.
it just didn't really... I don't know. It didn't jive with me, but I mean, I'm not a homosexual man, and so I've never been in the situation, so maybe that does work. Maybe that does happen, but I thought it was really a weird kind of storyline, and I think it's because the way Schitt's Creek handled it was so different. Mm-hmm. So basically, he never came out, and his friends are basically badgering him to. Like, through the whole episode. Forcing him to come out to his mother.
Yeah, that's true.
And I do feel like it's more of a personal choice, and that person should know when and how they want to do something so personal. So I felt a little uncomfortable through the whole thing with them going, yeah,
well,
or I'm going to out you.
You don't like secrets. You said that before.
You're right, yeah. I don't like secrets.
Yeah.
But I also feel like that was something that that he should have decided when. Like, if he had said, I want to come out and I don't know how.
We'll help you.
Totally different situation. Yeah. But he didn't want to.
Yeah, I think it's a bit crazy because, and also they invited his mother without telling him. That's super strange. Super strange that Will, being his best friend, wouldn't know his mother didn't know.
Yes.
That's also strange.
Because he's so forthcoming with everything.
But also, I feel like you would know if your best friend wasn't out to their family.
Yeah.
Because you'd be like, don't say anything about this, don't mention that. Like,
yeah, you would prep them for sure.
Yeah. And, Karen has the great line, when she's told about this, that she's like, Jack's mother doesn't know he's gay? What is she, headless? Leading right after that into just this funny exchange with Karen and Grace when she says,
gosh.
Love what you've done with the place. That?
Oh, no!
Oh, my God. So Karen's there and she's in full Karen, and she's looking around Will's apartment, and she says, Grace, I love what you've done with the place. And Grace says, Karen, I don't live here anymore, and you've seen my new place. And Karen looks at her and goes, you try to be nice. She just was like pouring.
Karen, this is a good episode for Karen.
Yeah.
There was someone asked her, I thought you would be spending the holidays with Stan and the kids. She's like, no. And then there was the whole fight between the two of them about, Jack was allegedly dating Grace, and Karen's like, well, he cheated on her with me. Like, they were jealous about that. God, yeah. That was really funny.
Oh, you thought that was funny? Yeah. That was a little like...
I thought it was cute.
Yeah.
And I liked when she was like, well, no wonder he cheated. Like, just all those, like, side little digs.
Karen calls Jack queer bait. I lost my mind. I laughed so hard. Grace sucks the innards of an apple pie through a straw. That's a beautiful moment. Oh, God. And I did write yet another over-the-top mother. Did you find that interesting, too?
Yeah.
Jack's mother is so over the top.
But that felt more believable to me because of who he is.
Fair.
For some reason. Yeah. I don't know. It just seemed a little bit more believable.
Oh, yeah. You know what, Christina, I wrote, Karen said, so, Jack's gay, huh? No wonder he went back to you.
And then Grace says, when Jack went back come running back to her, my Harold and Maude phase is over.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was really good.
Something about Jack told his mother to wear high heels to help with an ear infection. Did I get that line right?
I don't remember that part. But I did love how he comes out to her, and everyone's like, the other three are just like standing by the couch.
Yeah.
And again, this is all timing too. Yeah. And they're like, oh, okay, we'll leave them alone, that kind of thing. And they start walking away, and then the mother says, I have a secret too. And they all turn right back around.
And that's actually all my notes for that one. But Christina, I agree with you that pressure for him to come out to his mother when he had nothing to do with that whole arrangement was a bit much.
Yeah, it was like a lot. Like I really felt bad for Jack. Like if he's not ready, he's not ready.
Yeah.
And I did think about Schitt's Creek when Patrick was coming out.
Yeah.
And David said it was just, he's like, look, this is your journey. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to pressure you. Everyone does their own thing in their own time. Mm-hmm. When you are ready, you can be ready. This is not my journey.
Yeah.
And that to me was a beautiful moment. So that was in the back of my mind when this is happening. Not that this, obviously different scenarios, and they're playing for comedy here. Yeah. And
I also think, to your point, that like a lot of gay people come out to their friends way before, in some cases, to their family. Like, often your family doesn't even know. Often you're not even close to them. You've moved out. You might live in another city.
Live together, like, why bother,
maybe you left your town because you're gay. So it's like, it's not, it should never be assumed that, like, oh, of course they're out to their family. He's been out for years.
Or
to his friends.
Should be. Like, it's not your choice.
You don't know. There could be religious issues, so many different things. So just get off with people.
Yeah. You know what? Let people do what they're going to do.
Jumping to episode 14, shall we?
Episode 14.
I didn't write down the title, did you?
It's called Acting Out.
Acting Out. So Jack, Will, and Grace, this feels very real, are very excited because on their favorite nighttime soap, it's been promoted that there's going to be a gay kiss.
Yep.
And they are so excited. They can't wait. It's a big moment in TV history. Christina is struggling opening...
Can't open this shoe!
Opening her ginger chew. And what's funny is...
I was trying to be quiet about it, but forget it. Can't get it quiet.
This starts with the street scene that Christina, that you were talking about earlier, where there's no laughter. There's no studio audience. They're walking on the street. But the weird part for me was they paused for laughter. Like, that's the problem. Like, I didn't mind it at all. Like, 30 Rock didn't have a laugh track or studio audience. Like, Schitt's Creek, every other show we talk about, there isn't a laugh track or a live studio audience. So Will and Grace, because you're used to that timing, it was a decision they made that because they didn't have a live studio audience for certain scenes, they still paused where laughter should be. That's the weird part.
That was weird. Yeah. And it looked more like a movie.
Yep.
It looked more like a movie.
It was a little more handheld, a little more, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I didn't love it.
I said weird street filming, no laughter, but pauses for laughter. That's strange. I laughed when they're sitting in front of the TV and they're getting ready for this moment, and Grace just yells out, "Gay sex is so hot." And Jack and Will just look at her like, "You're sick." Okay, speaking of weird, I'm talking a lot because you're chewing. So
Thank you.
I am such a good friend.
Can you hear me chewing? I hope not.
No. But Jack calls Will, "Oh, I'm sorry, Will Plain and Tall," which is a joke about the miniseries at the time, Sarah Plain and Tall, which I think was Glenn Close, I want to say. I feel
like it was Glenn Close, too.
I think so, too. And it's like... And then they get really upset because they cut the kiss. The network, NBC, has cut the kiss. Grace, Will, and Jack are furious. And actually, I'm sorry, Will's not.
Will's not
at all.
Nope,
Will's like,
he's not phased.
Of course they wouldn't show it. Jack, you're naive to think that they would. He starts almost insulting Jack for even getting his hopes up. Mm-hmm. So then Jack's really upset, and he's like, "This is about representation. It's about this. It's about this." It's like
he's very passionate.
He's very passionate about it, and he wants to fight NBC. And then they go down there, and there's this woman that is in the waiting room who's very funny, and she's been sitting there for a while to complain again to NBC about what they took a show off the air. What they wanted to bring a show back or something. Was it a game show? But
I forget now.
At one point, one of the other characters says, "Well, I will have you know this is unacceptable. I expect more from NBC." And she goes, "Ding, dang, dong." In the audience. And that's how she says it, too. I laughed my ass off. The audience laughed their asses
That's really
off.
good, yeah.
It's very, very funny.
Yeah. But it was, once again, Will is non-supportive of his friends because not only is he not helping Jack, but he calls it like a silly protest. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you know what? It's not all about you, Will. It's not. Right. You need to help your friends if they, and you don't have to help them, honestly. If he doesn't want to help them, that's fine. It's his prerogative. Mm-hmm. You don't have to call it silly. Like, it's not silly.
It's not silly at all, right?
It's not silly. It's not like he's,
It's representation, and it's also false advertising. As a lawyer, he should care.
He should
quite
care.
Frankly.
He should care. And he eventually helps. Eventually.
Yeah, on the Today Show. So they basically see Al Roker. No, it's me. Sorry, everyone.
At least I'm trying to be quiet. I can't get it, but I'm trying.
But if you just rip it open, then it's quicker. So they see Al Roker doing his live segment on the Today Show, and Jack has an idea, or rather, Will has an idea. I'm sorry. No! Jack has an idea to talk about this on live TV, and then Will has the idea to kiss Jack.
Right, surprises him. And even Jack didn't know that.
That's
it was sort of like a spur-of-the-moment situation.
Jack does that thing, though, where he laughs really fast and stops. So, like, Al Roker makes a joke, like a pun, and Jack's like, "Oh my god, that's so funny." And he stops. and then they're trying to cut to it, and he's like, "Oh, let's go over here." And he's like, "Oh, no." He pulls the microphone back, and then Will's like, he just grabs Jack and kisses him, and that's this big moment. And
yeah. And, the significance of this.
Well, it's the first time two men have kissed on.
Yes,
network.
For real.
Yeah,
in real
for real.
life.
Yeah,
in real life.
So
this was the first
real moment,
time
a big moment.
Two men kissed on TV.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm so glad we did this episode because I was thinking about that before we chose the episodes, and I didn't really look into each of the descriptions, and I'm like, oh, I hope that's one of them. So I'm glad it was. But yeah, that was. I mean, it's sad to say. When was this? 98? 99?
99.
I mean, it's so weird to think that way, but...
Well, because there was that, I'm guessing this is the inspiration. Remember Melrose Place when they were like really hyping up? Fox was like, and Billy realizes something about his friend. And it is basically Billy, who's Andrew Shue. His friend is visiting for the wedding. He hasn't seen his friend in a while. And his friend is has realized he is gay and is now out. And Billy looks out the window and sees Matt, who is an openly gay character on Melrose Place, kissing this guy. And you're like, oh my God, it's going to be the first time two men kiss. And Fox, at the last minute, because of pressure from advertisers, they moved away from the kiss as they were about to kiss. Ugh. And it's the same thing. They panned away. And they cut to Billy's face watching them kiss through the window. And it's like, you just felt totally cheated. And that, to me, I think that's probably inspiration.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah. That's all the notes I have for that episode. I think Grace, again, is that thing where Grace is like really being dominant over her boyfriend, and you're kind of seeing Grace like the number of pet peeves she has about her boyfriend, which is great.
Yes, and I did have a note that now that Grace has her own place, I feel like the relationship is a little bit better with Will.
Yeah,
it's not quite as like codependent, if you will. So I appreciated that part. That was a good move for them to... And I kind of forgot about that. I forgot that she had ended up in her own place. I don't know why I forgot that, but it happened really early on. You would think I would have known that, but anyway. So episode 23, part 1 of 2 parts, and it was the second to last, the penultimate episode of season 2, called Ben-Hur. So Ben is Gregory Peck.
Gregory Hines.
As soon as I said Peck, I knew it was wrong. Because I pictured Gregory Peck in my head. I'm like, nope, not him. Gregory Hines. And he was really great. I actually really liked his character.
Big question. What? How did you feel then?
I don't remember how I felt then. I remembered him being there, and I remembered... So I didn't remember it until I saw the episode. And then when I saw him, I saw him on screen and I thought, oh, I forgot he was in this. And I had a positive feeling about him. Like it wasn't like, oh, wow, I forgot he was in it. So I must have had a positive feeling for him. But I didn't remember the details.
For me, then, I thought it was a total distraction from like the 4 main characters.
Interesting.
I thought he took up a lot of screen time. I was surprised how important he was to the story, and or the storylines, I should say. And because he doesn't just go away, like, he becomes part of the show.
Well, he's part of the show. He becomes Jack's. So obviously we didn't. Will's. We obviously didn't watch the episodes in between episode 14 and 23 where he becomes the boss. So there might have been many episodes with him in it.
I remember him being in this.
Yes. So that's probably where you're getting that.
Yeah, because I remember him being in it a lot. And this time around, I thought he was great.
Yeah.
It was just like a different kind of energy. Like he was, very just sort of like so confident.
He was more of a grown-up.
That's right.
Yeah.
I was going to say he was like very grown-up. Yeah, very confident. And and compared to the other characters.
Yes.
So he always sort of had the upper hand. Even when he's sort of caught red-handed, it's like, it's like, what's your problem?
Yes.
My first note for this.
What's that?
Will's a judgy puke. They're going through a magazine or something, or some sort of checklist, and they're talking about happiness.
Yes.
They're and Christina, we've done this a million times.
We've done this a million times. Cosmo quiz.
All these quizzes, like what kind of blank are you, and also like about relationships and stuff like that. So we always did these, and Will and Grace are doing one, and Will starts answering for Grace, and basically like healthy relationship. It's a no for Grace. That is so fucking rude.
So
rude. Because Grace isn't doing that to Will. You see, that's the thing.
That's the difference.
That is the difference. It's like it's not shared. Like, I think Grace genuinely really likes Will and wants what's best for him. Will, there's something about his character that is so nasty.
He's very nasty. And
by the way, here's my note. If you know your friend isn't happy with certain things in their life, why are you making fun of those things?
Right?
Like, make fun of something innocuous. Like,
not a good friend.
If you know someone has that Achilles heel, don't annoy them about that. Don't try and upset them.
So I meant even to go to say, so far as to say, in Will and Grace, Grace is a friend to Will, but Will is not a friend to Grace. And the pen dropped. I didn't mean to do that, but yeah.
So dramatic.
It's like a mic drop.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it was I think he... No, I don't even know. I can't even explain Will. But it was just, he doesn't come across great in the rewatch. Rosario. Oh my God. Shelley Morrison is the actress. She was so funny. Rest in peace.
Hilarious.
She passed away. They actually deal with that in the reboot. Oh. Very good episode. I wish... What did I write?
She's great.
Yes. Again, here's my note. I wish there was a better balance with Will. There's an insulting bitterness that is hard to ignore. Mm-hmm. Like in Jack is, at one point in this episode, he's crying. Jack is crying. There's some stuff going on, and Will says, like Jack walks right in and he's crying. And Will goes, wow, you don't even pretend... You don't even pretend to leave anymore, do you? Jack's in tears, and Will is making jokes. What kind of friend is that?
And basically waiting for him to leave.
Yeah.
He's not a good friend.
He was totally fine with Jack, in tears, leaving the house.
Yep.
Not a good friend.
Not a good friend.
The jeans and cargo pants were on full display in this episode for some reason. I laughed. The cargo pants made me laugh. The very, 90s jeans made me laugh. Yeah, I don't have too many notes until we get to part 2.
Well, I love the fight with Karen and Jack. Because now, Rosario basically wants a divorce, and now Jack wants to be taken care of because it was a marriage of convenience as a favor to Karen. So they get in this big, big fight. Yeah. And I don't have a lot of notes about the fight, but it was, what you would expect to be Karen and Jack fighting. At one point, she calls him Blanche, and later, she calls him Rose. Which was awesome. And then, after the end of all this fighting, blah, 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 whatever, I'll take you to court, blah, blah, blah. And he turns around, by the way, your boobs look great in that top.
So, when that Blanche thing happened, I wrote down, this is funny, because Will could be Dorothy, Jack could be Blanche, Grace could be Rose. Yep. And then Karen could be Sophia. Just
absolutely.
Like
it's the same.
It's a setup.
Same formula.
That formula works.
It sure does.
Oh God. Yeah. And so Grace and Gregory Hines, have a little fling.
Yes. Apparently that they hadn't gotten along to this point. Yes. They're trying to get along. They end up actually getting along really well. They have what we think is like a relationship.
Yes.
And he's like dancing with her on the table and dating, and she's super happy. Yeah. And then at the very end, Will walks in and he's dancing on the table with somebody else. And he's like, wah, wah, wah.
Yeah. And that is where I think the show, for me, goes wrong. Mm-hmm. Like, to be continued. It's like, to be continued, it's Will and Grace. Like, I don't know if I need depth. Mm-hmm. I like when the characters are in goofy situations and have to have madcap hilarity to get to the resolution. Like, just make me laugh. Like, these are funny characters. Put them in funny situations, and you have a show. I don't need to see heartbreak, betrayal, sadness, like, hurt, bad relationships. No. Like, I don't... I feel like it's so much stronger when it's funny.
Yes. Agreed. It's a comedy.
Yep. Well, yeah, but a lot of shows do that really well. A lot of shows can get serious and sad, and I'm there for it. But like Will and Grace, something's weird. I feel like because like the characters almost seem too smart for the level of like drama. Like Will walks in on that scene, and it's like, Grace is your best friend. You fucking tell her, and you tell her immediately. Yeah. Like, or
it's not. Yeah, well, the problem is they're like, you have this scenario, and it's like, ooh, to be continued. But we know what's going to happen. He's going to tell Grace. So it's not really a cliffhanger. We know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's what's, like, weird about it. Like, why are you trying to make this into, like, ooh, what is going to happen? Because that's the cliffhanger is you don't know what's going to happen.
Right. So and then weird. Will, like, takes off and goes to a tropical island to get away, and
somehow it turns into him. Yeah. Like all about him.
Right.
But what's interesting is like that next scene, like supposed to be funny. I guess he's on speakerphone with his boyfriend. Oh, because it starts up, the beginning of part 1, Will has it all together. He has the job and the boyfriend and all that, and the health. And then, but Grace has nothing. Mm-hmm. So then it continues on to part 2, and you're finding that Will, he has his boyfriend on speakerphone, and he's saying, "Are you sure you're not married, secretly married with children or whatever?" And then Grace walks in. She's like,
"Honey, I made pancakes.
Do I smell bacon? I love you." And, so he slowly loses all of those things that he was so cocky about.
Yeah.
He ends up quitting because, all right, so this is what's so strange. They have the brunch, right? And this is probably just a weird writing thing. Mm-hmm. She came in for the brunch. Why hasn't he told her yet about this dancing on the table thing? It doesn't make any sense.
No.
You would have called me if you saw that, right?
Yeah.
I would have called you and been like, Brian, let's talk.
The second I saw it, I would have called you.
The second.
Yeah.
Cell phone or not.
He was in his office. He could have picked up the phone. Yeah.
And then but he ends up talking to him, his boss, before he even talks to Grace. Mm-hmm. And he ends up quitting his job. And the boss, he's just like, how is this any of your business? Which I agree to an extent. Mm-hmm. But he should have probably said, we date other people.
Absolutely.
Like, there was no communication at all. It was wicked stupid.
Yep.
So at this point, he lost his boyfriend, and now he's lost his job, and now it's all about Will. So he ends up talking to Grace, and it's not a big deal, because Grace knew. Mm-hmm. And she was dating somebody else, too. And she was having
her
a great
boyfriend.
Yes.
Yeah.
And her boyfriend was dating. Like, it was just a whole free-for-all dating thing.
Yeah.
And then he ends up going to an island to work. Wait, no. He didn't quit his job. He took a transfer. Right? Was he?
No, then he quit his job.
But then how did he end up?
Because Gregory Hines shows up.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so he quit, and then Gregory Hines shows up to offer him a job on the island.
And Karen's there with Rosario.
Karen is there with Rosario, yes. So very coincidental and all that, but it was fine, whatever. It was kind of a weak season finale.
I think so. Gregory Hines says, they're arguing back and forth like, no, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. He's about representing this client. Gregory Hines says, listen, I'd hate to revisit an old argument, but yes, you are. And he runs out of the room. Very funny. And then someone shows up, and I think it was Will. I think Gregory Hines shows up and Will says, or was it Karen? He says, I didn't hear Tattoo announce you. Which is a fantasy...
That was Will saying that to him, yeah.
Fantasy Island reference, which someone might be lost if they're of a certain age. And that is all of my notes.
So there's this point where Jack moves in with Will. And it's like an odd couple theme?
Yes, that's the end.
That was the very end. Yeah. Okay. Because he decides to move back, he's not working or whatever. And again, he moves to this island and doesn't even tell Grace. Like, it's just weird. It's like, who does that? Nobody does that.
No. Will is not, he's not a good guy.
He's not a good guy. The guys I'm dating date such losers. Again with the kissing, I said, enough with that. And then, because Jack and Grace start a friendship.
Yeah.
And they start having more of a friendship. Grace says, a lot is my fault. And I'm like, no, it's not really her fault.
No.
What are you talking about? We don't fix ourselves. Oh, and then Grace said, oh yeah, because she goes, a lot is my fault. And they were like having this like heart to heart, her and Will. And he's like, we should really start fixing ourselves. And she's like, what are you talking about? We don't fix ourselves. That was kind of funny. Wow. And that's kind of all I have, except for the kissing thing again. Annoyed me throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
Will annoyed me throughout the whole thing. And I did feel like Grace grew with the confidence, which is nice. Yeah. Like at the beginning, she had like really little confidence, but her character had a lot of growth in the episodes that we watched. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was great.
Did you like it more, less, about the same?
I think I liked it just a little bit less.
Okay.
But it's nothing against them. It's more because it was so fresh and new at the time.
Yeah.
It was like really the only type of sitcom out there with that same level of energy and banter and all that. And it was nice and like, you know, kind of representing me, and if you will. Mm-hmm. And I appreciated that freshness. And now it's like, you know, you've had a million different shows that have similar chemistry between characters. Mm-hmm. So I just appreciated it more in its uniqueness back then, I think. And all the references of the pop culture and things like that. I think I liked it just slightly less. Less.
I think I liked it the same. Mm-hmm. I think that as much as Will just felt like a very different character to me through my middle-agedness, that I felt that the writing is so good and these performances, the acting is so funny, that it was very easy. This is a very easy
It's an
rewatch.
easy show.
It really is.
It went by quick too.
But I will say that I do think that's another challenge with the show when it deals too much with relationships, because then there's a continuing narrative.
Yes.
And so, meaning other shows that you can watch in reruns, sometimes it doesn't matter because there's not continuing storylines.
Yeah.
There's situation comedies. It's like a one size, it's like very, what's the word? Onesies. Like they're all you can, But Will and Grace, anytime I tried to do like the to be continued, or suddenly there's this new character who's going to keep popping up, and it's like, it's just, I think it's, becomes a harder rewatch to jump around in. Mm-hmm. But I just think there's just so much good writing in this, and and I did have a really good time with it. I think
just one point when you're saying that. I think it did work, however, with Rosario.
Oh my God! Yes.
I think that did work because in one of the notes I wrote was, we have 3 new characters. We had the Gregory Hines, and we had the assistant, like his assistant.
Oh, right.
And then we had Rosario, and they were all introduced in season 2. So they're trying to do something.
And Grace's boyfriend, because he was in more than one episode.
Grace's boyfriend, but you always had the sense that he was temporary. You just always did. Those were more major reworks. Mm-hmm. And I think that the Rosario really, really worked. And I think it's because she flushed out more of like Karen's world.
Yeah.
And Jack's really too. Mm-hmm. Whereas you didn't really have the sense that you needed to flesh out Will and Grace's world as much.
That's true. I agree with that. Because you might wonder, how can people stand Karen? Then you meet Rosario and she's always like, listen, lady.
Yeah.
And they just have these full on. I think, that's how she handles her. They just fight. They have these big.
They were so good together.
Big fights. Really quick, this show, premiered September of '98. It ended in May of 2006. It returned in September of 2017 and ended again in April of 2020.
So they had 3 seasons in the reboot?
Yeah. And by the way, it probably would have kept going, but there was friction between Debra Messing and Mullally.
Oh, really? Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah. What was the friction?
We don't know, but there was social media shenanigans, not
really?
unfollowing each other, and possibly. But 83 Emmy nominations, 18 wins. Interesting fact, Megan auditioned for Grace.
Oh, that's funny.
Then. Debra Messing only took it, she didn't really think Grace was a great character, but she took it because Jim Burrows was directing, and she was a huge Jim Burrows fan. I've got it. I have to check his name. It is Jim. Is it Jim J.
Sounds
Burrows?
Right.
I don't get confused with Jim J. Bullock. But let me play some Will and Grace. Do you have any questions?
I do. We were supposed to play this coming in from season 2.
Oh my God, that's right.
That's all right. Just play a little bit of it. Get it closer so people can hear.
What? Well, this will be on our Spotify playlist.
Ooh, yes.
All right.
Very nice.
Let me quickly check. So actually it's James Edward Burrows.
So you had it.
Sometimes known as Jim Burrows, yeah. So he's very, 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 very famous. He did a bunch of shows like, The Bob Newhart Show. He did Yeah, I mean, he did. I mean, a bunch of stuff. But anyway, yeah. But Debra Messing was excited to work with him, and that's why she said yes.
I'm glad she did, and I'm glad Megan was Karen.
Yes, me too.
And you know who she's married to in real life?
Yes,
Nick Offerman.
Yeah,
Ron Swanson, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So, and she was great on that too. When she guest starred in Parks and Rec as his ex-wife. Anyway, do you have a question for me?
I don't actually.
Well, do you have an FMK?
You
can do an FMK. I have a question.
Oh, cool.
I feel like an FMK is a little easier to think of.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to wait?
Well, I'm going to do actors because obviously
that's fine.
No.
Okay, so I'm going to. You think while I ask you a question. Okay, so you have to replace one of the main actors. Which one do you replace and with whom? And I'm not saying, okay, that's not, it's not like, oh, I would replace Karen. It's not like that, but like, I'm giving you the opportunity to replace somebody. Because I was going to say replace all of them, like recast. I don't want to do that because that's really hard. So just recast one of them. You can have your choice. Like,
well,
I'm not asking this question really.
Well, I guess I would recast Will. But I don't know if it's his fault. Eric McCormack.
But who would you replace Will with? Like, who would you recast Will with? Because I'm asking this wrong. Because I have an answer for you. I have an answer that I would not It's like if you don't have a choice. I don't even know how to word the question.
This is the worst question
for
our 100th episode, Christina.
Here's the thing. I don't think the person that I'm replacing her with is better.
Oh.
So I would not replace her. But I'm just saying, I'm giving you the choice.
Yeah.
That you have to, I don't know, whatever. It doesn't even matter. Okay.
I mean, I don't know. To me, I think Will is like just the toughest character because he's not super likable. So then I think, okay, 90s, who's super likable?
You're approaching this differently than I would, but that's okay.
Wow.
No, I like it. No, it's okay. It's okay.
Who's super likable?
Such a Will.
I'm going to be honest, because he actually became part of the show later on, but maybe Woody Harrelson as well. Because he's just instantly likable, and I can see him, even when he's being mean, he's probably more rascally. Where Will is, like, very waspy, like, and a little judgy. Where I think Woody Harrelson just has such a funny, like, personality and a cute look about him, that I think it would be less offensive, or it would feel less deep,
Yeah, I do like that.
That's my answer.
That's a good answer.
Thank you. What were you going to...
So my answer was if I had to replace Karen. It's like if I had to replace Karen.
It's fascinating.
I think Maya Rudolph would do a good job.
Oh, with like today's actors.
Yeah. I told you. It was not coming out right.
For our 100th episode.
Well, there you go. It's very true to our relationship. The miscommunication.
Oh my God, wait. Oh, I want to do... Okay, I'm changing... I'm not doing an FMK.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to do... If you have to pick one of these movies to watch 10 times.
Oh, boy. Oh, for our 100th episode. That's good. Okay, good. I like this question. I didn't even think to do it related to the
I know. I should have just
episodes.
I know. Let me quickly see.
Oh, boy.
Hang in there, everyone.
How many are you going to do? 3?
Just
4?
3.
Just 3? Okay.
Christina, give me a second.
I'm trying to fill the space. Otherwise, everyone's going to hear me chewing on my ginger chews. So, yeah, and while we're sitting here waiting for Brian, remember, now we have 100 episodes.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Look through the catalog of movies that we've revisited. There's quite a few out there, so take a look. And, again, if you have any suggestions for movies to revisit from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, I don't know about the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, or TV shows or music videos, shoot us an email. We're happy to oblige if it reaches the criteria, which is we have both seen it before, and it's before the year 2000.
oldroommatespod@gmail.com.
That's right.
Oh, and also follow us on YouTube, too, please. And Instagram and Facebook. So, here we go. Christina, these are 3 movies that you did not enjoy in your rewatch.
Oh, boy. Now I have to watch it 10 times?
I'm going to make you love one of these movies by making you watch it 10 times.
I don't know if that's going to work.
10 times in 2 days.
Okay.
You're going to fall in love with these movies that you hated. Will you pick Dead Poets Society?
Oh, that was a tough one.
Pretty in Pink? Prince of Tides.
Oh my God, those are the 3?
Yes, you have to watch one of them 10 times. I have my answer.
I have to watch that 10 times, huh?
Okay, over 2 days, 10 times. Emerge having a newfound love of this movie.
All right, it's actually a no-brainer.
What?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they're all terrible choices. I wouldn't want to do that. But Pretty in Pink would have to be.
Yay!
Yeah. I'm not going to watch the other 2. First of all, they're like heavy. So long.
That's exactly what I knew. I knew.
Right?
I was like, I'm just going to pick the shortest one.
Long.
Yeah.
And
dark, heavy, suicide,
dark,
and
all that. But like Pretty in Pink, there's some music and there's some, whatever. It can be entertaining, if nothing else, just to make fun of it. Mm-hmm. To make fun of Blaine and Steph and all that.
Wow.
So Pretty in Pink. Would you do the same?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because they're just the shortest one, and there's enough going on. Also, and honestly, I'd probably try and make a drinking game out of it, or I'd probably just be like, "Oh, who cares?"
By 10, we could probably recite it.
Oh my God!
What about prom?
Say it! I want to hear you say it. Angie, I promise someone else.
Bullshit! Come on, that would actually be funny to watch it 10 times.
Oh my God.
10.
Okay, well, hey, listen, everyone, thank you so much. Christina, thank you
Oh my gosh, and thank you, Brian. So adaptable through this whole 2 years.
Can we toast? We're
vaccinated. Oh my gosh, we can't toast. Well, I have metal stuff, so you might be able to...
It's okay. Well, I hope they can hear it. To 100.
Click it right over the thing.
Yeah, 100 more episodes.
Yeah. Clink. Oh, it did kind of clink. Cheers.
Cheers. And that is it for us and for this episode of Old Roommates. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to Old Roommates on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And give us a rating or review while you're there, please.
If you have an idea for the show or a suggestion or comment, you can email us at oldroommatespod@gmail.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Old Roommates. This is Christina.
And this is Brian.
Thanks again for listening. Until next time.